Peace and blessings, soul family, back again with another one. Always good to vibe, always good to connect. So, June is, of course, the month we celebrate Father's Day. It is also Men's Health Month. Men's Health Month. So it's been a pretty cool month for me, and just doing some time to heal and to reflect and to express gratitude and plant more seeds and all the good stuff. But I wanted to take this time in today's video to have a conversation about healing, like we usually do from time to time, but also talk about relationships, right? Relationships from a man's perspective, particularly with a father and son, the father and son dynamic, which is really cool and quite fitting to have this conversation in the month of June, because the relationship between a father and son is, I believe, directly impacts our ability as men to function. Quite frankly, your father, the words that come from your father can bring you life, or it can tear you. They can tear you down, and really shape and frame our sense of identity and security in this world. So it's a very fundamental and very important relationship that we have in our life. And for the context of today's conversation, talk about the father and son dynamic, that relationship, and the importance of allowing that relationship to graduate. And I'll use my own life as an example to have this conversation. So just to go back a few weeks ago, I remember my father and I, so me and my pops are like, we super close. Like, I pick up the phone, he'll pick up the phone. If it's not every day, multiple times a day, it's like, hey, champ, what's happening? What you doing? How are you? Always checking in with each other. And we've had that relationship for many years. We've always been super close. And so recently we had a conversation about parenting, and there's things that we didn't agree on, which is normal, right? We're not the same being. We raised in different times and different eras. And so we had a conversation about parenting, and we both got upset. We were both definitely upset in the conversation, and we had to take some space and say, hey, you know what? Let's revisit this conversation the next day, which is cool. But I know as soon as we got off the phone, I had this feeling of anger. I was really angry. I was upset. And I was like, I had to take a step back, because I'm like, wait, this is inconsistent with, like, me being upset with him is something that is totally foreign. Like, we may have points where we agree to disagree, but it never gets to the point where, like, emotionally I'm angry. And so I had to take a minute. I was like, yo, let me reflect. Why am I feeling this way? Like, what's really sitting there? What's coming up for me? Right? And so I took a moment to reflect. And what I realized is what I was upset with him about, the real reason why I was super upset, was that we were having an issue about parenting. And it was about my children, me and Melissa's children. And what I was upset about wasn't just that. It was about me as a young kid, right, being a little boy. And I wanted him to show up in ways that I was looking to show up for my kids in the situation that he and I weren't agreeing about. And so for me, it was about the need to do inner child healing, right? And so I was, like I said, I was super tight. I was upset about the whole situation, about he and I butting heads and not seeing eye to eye. But after we had a chance to have a conversation, I was grateful, because it gave me an opportunity to heal something that I wasn't even aware of. Like, real rap, like I could have went the rest of my life and not have been aware of this pent up anger and frustration and even sadness if that opportunity hadn't presented itself in the gift of being a conflict, right? He and I not seeing eye to eye. And so what I realized in he and I not seeing eye to eye was we had to graduate our relationship. We hadn't done that fully, right? And so when I say graduate our relationship, we had to go from father and son to father and father, right? Because there's certain aspects of life where when we have a conversation, I'm not just his son anymore. I am a man. I'm responsible for a family. I have kids of my own. I have things that I have to take care of, and things that, charges. Like these kids, Nina and AJ, they're beautiful beings that decided to come through me and Melissa. And so we are responsible for their health and their well-being. And so when we have this conversation, me and my pops, it has to be on a level of, okay, you are my father and I am their father. And so there are things that you've learned along your journey, and there's things that I've learned along my journey that you didn't have a chance to learn. And so how does iron sharpen iron in this instance? And so that was the beauty of going through that turmoil. But what I also found is that not only was the healing for myself, it was healing for my son, right? Because it allowed me to address the inner child in me that was frustrated, that was angry, that felt like it needed to be guided and protected. All of those emotions that were laying dormant because I had never had the mirror, right? I look at my son in many respects as being a mirror to my inner child, but also to my father's inner child, because I know when he sees his grandson, not only does he see his grandson, he sees me, and he also sees a piece of himself, which is a very beautiful thing because it causes everyone to be very introspective, but also transpective and kind of look beyond and see, wow, what's the kind of life that we really want to have? Like, what are the new patterns that we want to create? And what are the old patterns that we want to destroy? But none of that is possible without having a ritual, right? And so for me, this past Father's Day was all about a ritual. I created a ritual, a space where I was able to speak to my inner child and acknowledge and love and comfort and provide whatever that child needed, whatever the younger version of Andre needed at that time, to be there for him. But also release that energy and those pent up frustrations so that I can be a more present and just available father to my son. Also release myself from holding myself prison and that bound up energy that I may have toward my father, but also ancestrally, right? There are ancestors who didn't have access to this information, didn't have access to the different technologies, who may have been bound up by those same patterns. So by me healing, not only do I create a new pattern for myself, but for my son, for my father, and then the ancestral realm as well, because they have prayed. They have prayed for healing. And so that's the beautiful aspect of having a ritual. And when I say ritual, I keep saying this, I'm going back to Malidoma Somé, where he talks about ritual in his book. It's called Ritual, Power, Healing, and Community. I recommend everybody get a copy of this. And what's cool is when he writes in his book, he has a quote. He says, "Ritual is the means by which the individual and the community maintain a connection with the world of spirit, and it's an active dialogue with the unseen world. And so by having a ritual, we're able to heal personally and collectively, the trauma of personal and collective trauma. We're able to realign with our destiny. We can maintain harmony with nature, with our ancestors, and of course with spirit. And last but not least, by reaffirming belonging within the tribe or community. That's what ritual does. It reaffirms belonging within the tribe or community. So it's super important to have that, super important for us to be able to graduate our relationships with our fathers and sons. And it also helps, with daughters and mothers as well, because I know those dynamics play out there as well. But it is collective. It works for the good of the individual and the good of the collective as well, for us to engage in this type of healing and give thanks for the opportunities that when they come up, that they're not burdens, they're blessings. Those things that come up in our life that cause us to be uncomfortable and like feeling, oof, like, man, that's that one part of my life that I felt was really sacred. When that comes up, it gives you a chance to reflect and release. So out of that healing ritual over, Father's Day is a chance to, uncover more energy that I had pushed down and that had been laying dormant. So give thanks for when you go through these challenges, and know that there's practices in place that we can use to help navigate those stormy moments, and know that everything is working together, not just for the present good, not just for now, but for the future, and even creating a new pattern in the ancestral realm as well. So having said all that, I give thanks. My brothers, keep doing what you're doing. Keep being awesome fathers. Keep being an awesome version of you. And hey, always remember, all things are working together for your good, even if it don't even seem that way. So if it ain't all good, it ain't all done. Ashe.